So move. All eyes.
John, I think you should have to go over here now, so you're in the picture with the rest of us.
I even got my first post-apocalyptic today.
Right on.
Survived that.
See, mine's easy. Mine's just
Slowly, yeah.
In the middle of the day.
put the #1 guide on the clippers and have at it. Yeah.
Darn right.
Maybe she's getting hacked. Maybe we need to change the password.
Did you tell Randy Scott that came out? The final?
I don't know, did I tell you?
The what?
Final report on the cantankerous one over here?
No.
See, we don't talk about village matters
Good
outside
for
of
you.
council.
Or very rarely, probably.
Until bourbon's involved.
You don't
and
make decisions, do you?
No, we do not make
There's only 2 of
decisions. No, but we're also neighbors. We also live here and, it's kind of hard not to discuss certain things, especially when you have other neighbors screaming at you about stuff,
Yes. Which happens.
which happens,
Carried with me.
yeah, weekly.
Sorry.
Point him to Ben
Yeah, no, point them to Ben. Yeah, right.
down on the corner.
Jesus Christ. That's all he would say.
What happened?
So, low system resources.
I think you're good now. The only thing is the speaker's messed up again. So I apologize for the speaker situation.
Okay.
Sounds better than
Hey,
last
can
time.
everybody hear us?
Well, we're not covered in masks.
Yeah.
I hear you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're live and in color. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting at 6:33. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's it, justice for all.
We've done that in a while, have we?
Okay, is there a motion on the floor to,
Approve the minutes? I will make that. Oh.
excuse Wes?
Yes, I will make a motion to excuse Wes.
Second.
Scott, motion to approve Wes. Dave seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All ayes. Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve this evening. We have from the May 12th meeting. Anybody have any comments, additions, corrections?
Nope.
Motion to approve
So moved.
by Scott and seconded by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the site plan review minutes from May 26th. Changes, comments,
No, okay.
motion to approve
So moved.
by the mayor and Dave second. All in favor?
Aye.
All ayes. No citizens, well, I guess there are. Mr. Balkin, do you have something you want to do now, or is this about the letter that you wrote?
This is about the letter regarding the street posts, the sign posts in the village.
Oh, okay, that's on the agenda, so we'll go and pick up for you there, okay?
Okay.
Nobody else there? Okay. Zoning inspectors report.
No, just a report, just the oral with the, Mama Lights did pull the sign permit and everything else for that to put up their new awning. If you see when you drive by.
Yep, looks good.
That's all.
Okay.
And we
Good.
did verify for Wes that.
We can't hear that.
Carmen did get a building permit.
You can't hear?
I couldn't hear the zoning. The speaker didn't pick up the zoning report.
There was no report, just Mama Lights
Okay.
sign permit they pulled up, that's it.
Okay.
go ahead with what you were talking.
And did you hear me about John and Terry Harmon? They did get a building permit for their addition. They had a zoning permit from John. They got building.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead into new business. You have a letter from Mr. DeValken as Chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals regarding mural, section 450.02 and 502.10 and 11 for review at request of BZA and Edie Bennett. Mr. DeValken, any comments you want to make to us right now?
The main thing I thought was that, I thought Board of Zoning Appeals was to deal with exceptions. And the way the legislation seems to be written is every mural request will be an exception. And I think we have to think of a better way of handling the murals rather than just charging them $200 and approving it. People are doing this to beautify Mantua, to make this a nicer place to live. And the fact that we're just taking $200 out of their pockets to say yes seems incorrect. I understand the need to be able to review the design for a mural, but maybe zoning appeals isn't the right way of doing it. I would recommend putting together possibly some kind of a citizen panel to review mural requests and see whether they fit the community. And not have it be such a formal thing requiring the Board of Zoning Appeals to get involved. And that was sort of the only point I had to make.
Okay. Michelle, you want to take the time to explain your correspondence to it, please?
Tom, in regards to your request, I did write a memo regarding the constitutionality of making content-based sign regulations. That can be found on the first page of our website under the, right on the home page where it says Planning Commission, meeting for tonight and documents. It's a 2-page memo, so I don't really want to go into it, but the upshot of it is that once you start differentiating things that fall into the definition of signs by their content or their message or whatever you want to call it, the nature of the sign, then it becomes a content-based regulation. And
Can I interrupt for a moment?
yes,
I thought this was specific to the murals, and I thought your memo was specific to the street sign.
there's 2 memos.
Oh, okay.
Would you like a copy?
I sent you
Yeah, you did.
the other one was last week.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been busy.
So basically, if we were to do that, it could subject our entire sign code to a challenge on its constitutionality. And I think that the Planning Commission would have to proceed very cautiously before they consider doing something like that. The way it is right now, everything that qualifies as a sign is a sign, regardless of whether it's art or commercial or non-commercial or whatever. And that's the way that you want to approach a zoning code.
How did Ravenna go about doing it without having to go through zoning appeals?
I haven't read Ravenna's zoning code. I'm just telling you what my research has indicated. And I highly recommend, sorry, that you have a look at that memo that I wrote. It should answer a lot of the issues that you raised.
So Board of Zoning Appeals is there to handle every mural rather than just exceptions to the code.
No,
And-
Board of Zoning Appeals is there to handle everything that qualifies as a sign that doesn't meet the requirements in the zoning code, regardless of whether it's a mural or a sign for a drugstore or anything. That's content neutral.
I'll read it and get back to you.
Okay, he's gonna read it
Okay,
and get back
Anything
to us.
anything else, Mr. Falcon?
I do have a question.
This is the mayor speaking now.
I have a
Thank you.
question on this. And I understand what you're saying, Michelle. That anything that doesn't fall under our guidelines that are in place right now has to go to the BZA. But is there some way that maybe we could restructure the price of going to the BZA for that type of a thing? Is that something we would want to consider?
You could do that. You can change your fee structure. One way it's done is if the applicant is not for profit, the fee structure can be so that the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Planning Commission, whoever's reviewing it, has the ability to waive a portion of the fee that's not related to our actual costs like publication. And that would require council to just put a little amendment in there saying that BZA has the authority to waive a portion of the fee.
So whatever our postage is and putting it in the paper, paying
Right.
the administrative assistant to
Right.
take the minutes of those meetings.
But then, so like if the applicant were a not-for-profit, DMRC perhaps, because they have their 501c3. But then if the applicant is a private property owner, it would be hard to justify a not-for-profit, and you've got hardship. So yeah, there are things you could do, but it might just take having the entire BZA fee based on our costs instead of a flat fee. And I don't know what that cost is. So those are ways to approach it.
So if we did it, so it was based on nonprofit organizations, the mural that was just approved was done by private property owners,
So that,
not by.
That's why another option would just be to have your fee start with $200 and refund everything that didn't get used at costs. That's another way to do it.
I think just a point of clarification on the mural. It was submitted by a private property owner because DMRC doesn't own any property in the village, but it was funded entirely by DMRC.
Well, that's information that we're not privy to. So, we go by the application, of course, and it was made by private citizens. So,
Yeah, and I was just basically privy to that information that DMRC thought that a mural was a good thing to have in downtown Mantua. So
When John spoke with Edie Benner, he had said, because we thought at the time that Schaefer's owned that wall, that they would need a letter from Schaefer's saying that they could paint that wall. So if Jeff and Edie own that wall, they could have sent the letter with the application under the DMRC. Am I not correct, John?
John
Yes.
is in the affirmative on that question.
well, I don't think they ever approached DMRC for funding. It was when they announced that they were doing it, DMRC made a motion to approve funding for both the artwork and the paint.
Well, again, Edie was asked, get permission from Schaefer's, and she said, oh, Schaefer's don't own that wall. Jeff and I do. So at that point, she could have taken it and written a letter with permission to do it, so.
Right.
And I'm sure that was in an email to her.
But I think, probably the first thing at some point, take a good hard look at that. And
I just find it unusual that the village of Mantua would stand in the way of anything to beautify the village of Mantua and charge $200 for the privilege of beautifying the village. That it just sends the wrong message to the public. And I think the village does that more often than it should.
okay, well, I think we can take a look at the potential for that we just discussed, the not-for-profit specific, and figure out a fee structure or actual cost of the advertising and how much it's going to go and maybe apply that to something like this. That sounds like the most logical way.
Yeah, it's something we can consider at future meetings and make recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments, Shelley?
I think another section of this, the 502, didn't that have to do with Edie's email Oh, I know it's in here somewhere. Regarding. Here it is on the very left. Just writing to ask about freestanding sign height.
450.09, and that's on the agenda.
And she was talking about the internally
Yeah.
illuminated signs. She would, and Wes had comments on that.
But that's on the agenda later.
Oh,
So we'll take care
Oh,
of
I'm
that at that point.
sorry. I thought it was part of.
Yep.
Got confused with the 450. I apologize.
That's okay. Okay, any other questions, comments at this time on this? Okay, we're gonna move on then. Landmark Committee requested for review of street post signs and quote. Did everybody read all the information that was given to us?
Yeah.
We've got the letter from the DMRC, or I'm sorry, from the Historic Landmarks Commission with some accompanying documentation, and also the memo from the solicitor. Questions, comments?
Only, I would just like to add, I think the solicitor did a very fine letter, stating exactly what MUTCD, the manual uniform traffic control devices, does state, something I've worked for years on telling and advising municipalities, cities, and counties, retro reflectivity and illumination of our signs right now does not comply. We're not in compliance. You can't see them at night. They're red versus white. I know everybody likes them. They're supposed to be green and white. We won't change that, I understand. The cement posts are a hazard to the motoring public, very much a hazard. They could kill somebody with the way these vehicles are today and the smaller ones. They're supposed to be 7 feet high, not 48 inches. You know, maybe, I think Michelle offered a very good suggestion. Maybe they can apply, you know, through the state, because a lot of these are on the state route. And remember, on the state route, they're actually ODOT. ODOT takes control of them, not us, on the state route. And they could apply and, such as a breakaway. Maybe it won't be cement, but it'll look like cement. Retro reflectivity, which is required since 2003. Some of our posts have them now. It's engineered grade materials that has the signs. Instead of painting them, just painting red, you can't see them at night, and that could be a hazard. So I think those issues should be looked at. I think it's a great project that they could do, but I think they have to go through ODOT and comply with the Ohio Management Unit of Traffic Code, as she had said, to do it in compliance.
That particular set of codes also pertains to anything village, Herald, and,
Everywhere,
okay,
Yeah.
it's not just state highways.
uniform traffic.
Okay,
Yes, Federal Highway and Uniform Traffic Code, everything. It's cities, municipalities, everything. It's a 2009 and amended 2012 edition.
And it's long, isn't it, Dave?
356 pages. I did not read it.
No,
Well, I was hoping you did. I was gonna see if there was an exception for historic signposts like we have in Mantua.
Tom, read the memo. I did put that also on the website. I suggest that if an agency or a group can make a case that their historic value requires that their character is preserved and that there's public support behind the project, that would probably go a long way towards getting the director of ODOT to grant permission to replace them with something that isn't compliant, but is safer than what we have. So it's a project, but I think that you could put together a case and you may very well get the approval that you need.
Okay, so the village can't approve it, is what I'm hearing.
No, we cannot. This is a state code that we have to follow.
And we'd be liable.
You said that our current street markers are not in compliance.
They are not.
Okay, but we're allowed to, we don't have to replace them.
We can't replace them. I think this is what you would call colloquially grandfathering in.
Okay. that's what I
Because
was
they're
wondering.
old and non-compliant.
Okay.
I mean, the cement ones are probably, how old are they, from the 50s or the 30s?
Oh.
I mean, they're
Probably the 1930s is what I've been
Yeah.
told.
they're really, really old. So that's well before this manual came into effect.
Yeah, they were a Depression era project, is what I've heard.
Yeah, and they're adorable, but we can't replace like with like in the 21st century. Without permission.
Without permission, okay.
I just want the backwards N on the corner of Franklin and Maple to be fixed.
Oh, they're all over the
Yeah, I know,
village.
that's the one that I noticed.
I think they're
yesterday.
quaint.
I think they're simply adorable.
We need a guarantee that we'll
We
have a
all,
few.
we all agree with that.
Okay, so Michelle, your memo then explains how I would go about approaching ODOT for special dispensation.
Well, it doesn't explain how to do it, but I think once you read it, you'll understand where you kind of need to go with building a case to ask for it. I think, you know, a folder full of letters of approval and plans for safe signs that are not a hazard to the traveling public will probably be a good start. John has some input.
I'll even reach out to the District 4 director and maybe see what else we can help you with as you write this up. I personally
Okay.
know him and I'll ask him
Yeah.
what we can do, what do other cities do, et cetera, to meet that specification or those requirements.
It seems to me that with 25-mile-an-hour speed limits, it's unlikely to cause any serious injury if some drunk happens to cross the curb there. So I think
One
that's
of the
one
things
thing.
is you have to protect the people that break the speed limit, apparently.
Right, I have enough speeding cases in court to know that not everybody's obeying the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, alas.
I think it's probably something that council would support.
Oh, I
If
think
if
we
we
would.
got, if we got the approval. And if John reaches out to District 4,
I'm all for trying to maintain the historic,
right,
look of the village, absolutely, but.
Yeah, but there does need to be
Jump
some
through some hoops to get it
compliance.
done.
right,
And like, I mean, the breakaway
right, it still have to be.
is, yeah, I mean, that is the ideal
That's why the
fix.
mailboxes are full.
Yeah. I mean, a breakaway would be perfect.
Okay, so from our end, John's gonna make contact with District 4, who actually handles this part of the state, and
See what you need.
he'll get in touch with you one way or another to
I'll
let
send it
you
over.
know what he has found out. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on this particular item?
Nope.
The George accent come from all this.
Yeah, well, you know.
Just trying not to call.
I think that covers everything that I wrote you about, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye.
Hi.
Well, we actually had, the next one was his too.
I don't know, I was gonna remind you.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a carryover from last meeting,
Yes,
that request.
I don't see how we could take anything off the site plan review.
No, it's only been a few years since we added single family
Right.
to site plan review.
Was there a specific reason why that happened?
Rich highly recommended it from the standpoint of soil erosion and runoff things. And I mean, really a single family is no different from a two-family in that respect. So he felt that it was just as important to have single family in as all the other applications.
I think that's when we were having all that discussion about grading, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was a two-family, nobody had control over a single family. I think that's how Rich felt, is that people were just doing whatever they wanted to do and they were dumping water on their neighbors. And
But
there was a lot of
But we
complaints
tried to
about
pass
that.
legislation
I
and
know.
council wouldn't approve it.
I know, but that was before this council.
Remember, because
But that was
they wanted
before
the
this
fee, they didn't
council.
want to pay the fee to have the site plan review for the
Right,
water runoff. and-
right. We've tried to pass a lot of things the council wouldn't approve.
Well, I guess one thing we could think about is reducing the number of sets of plans that are required to be submitted for a single family.
Yeah, that was a big issue.
Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
The thing is, until it changes, our hands are locked to do what the book says.
Correct.
oh, absolutely.
So is there value in revisiting that
Sure,
section?
Absolutely.
Sure. sure we could.
Okay, so everybody,
But for a lot of years, we've never had a problem with it.
probably because nobody's
Probably
building.
hasn't been a whole lot of new development.
Or it just depends on who it is that's
Yeah.
applying.
It just depends on who it is that's applying. So. I mean, we didn't write it.
Right.
We just, I mean, we
Just before-
are just enforcing it. I mean, it's not, didn't come from us, didn't come from this group.
Right.
In fact, I don't even think it came from the group before us. I think it was before them.
Let's try Michelle and Ben.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You have to enforce you have to follow the book.
Right,
And until we change it, we've never had a problem with it.
right. I mean, because, it says 14. I mean, shade tree,
No, they don't.
they don't need one. I usually give one to Marty and he says, what's it about?
Right.
Or whoever it
Right.
would be Ashley now that would get it. Other departments, you're supposed to have two of those. Soil and water, we can't cut those out because it might be an incident where,
Right.
like the Napa store, that it was in the floodplain area, that I personally took it down for that one and gotta have one on file,
And fire, police.
yes.
I mean, and unless you do to the council or to the planning members, unless it's an e-file, everybody should really have one to look at before
it's a
a
shame
site
that-
plan
and-
review,
And it's a shame that all but two get trashed. At the end.
Well, that's why I said, give them back, give them to their subcontractors, I mean, subs always needed prints.
Mhm.
Well, maybe we could have an option then for, instead of paper copies, I would be all in favor of having an option where you only have to submit however many paper copies you need for in real life to pass them on, and the rest electronic, so that you all can look at them, because everybody's looking at everything on their computers now.
Yeah,
We
Right.
shouldn't have to have giant pieces of paper
Right,
like that
right.
anymore.
It's
Right.
not me.
So, one for Village Hall to look at, and
Well-
it can be made, or two, to make
Yeah.
part of the permanent record here. And then the
two,
rest of them.
because then you could take one and one could be here on file and you would have one on file. But then you still, I mean,
What I do is I open it up here.
Yeah.
Dais,
Right,
and I review events.
yeah,
the police and fire need them, though, and so,
but we could
I
certainly
mean,
reduce.
oh,
the
we
number
can reduce the number,
significantly.
yeah, sure.
And let's
Sure.
keep in mind, that wasn't the only bone of contention on their part. It was
Right.
a number of copies. There were a few other points. So I certainly think it would be worthwhile reviewing to ensure that we don't have village residents feeling as if we're making it difficult for them to develop. As a village, we certainly want people to be building in the village. So we don't want to have the reputation of making it hard.
I don't know how many more murals, though, the village can handle, so,
I think it should be one at the other end of that building, as you're coming up the hill, going northbound.
We just got a email from Restoration 44 that they want to do phase 2. And again, I thought it was Edie and Jeff doing it. I thought DMRC people were just volunteering to help. Because the DMRC's name never came up on the application anywhere. So,
What is phase 2?
she just said that Edie told her to go into our website, and so I told her where to find the application, told her, what did I tell her, John? That she needed to go to the 450. I cited the murals. I told her that, showed her the copied and pasted the sections so that it couldn't be any more than 24 square feet. To get John a drawing and fill out the application complete, and he will review it and approve or not, and let her know where to go from there.
It may be the other side of the building too, what you're talking about.
She said on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So I-
the street.
So I'm gonna either say it's on the north side of 44 Restoration or on the south side of 40. I don't know. That wasn't shared with us.
Okay, we'll deal with that when it comes.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I wasn't gonna bring it up, because we didn't have anything yet.
Okay, so for the next meeting, if everybody could take a look at 610.02.
Yeah.
See if we come up with some ideas, if there's something that looks like it,
I can make a recommendation to change.
yeah. Any other conversation on that topic? Moving on. You have a copy of an email the mayor and John received from E. Benner regarding lighted signage. Questions, comments?
I was just trying to figure out like what. Let me pull up the letter again. Are you have it here?
Yeah, it's in there. It should be the very last page.
Who is off camera?
Me,
Dave. Dave Sluka,
Thank you.
and he keeps sliding closer to the elevator.
For her, she said that the internally illuminated signs should be outlawed. But it's actually 450.07C, where it talks about illuminated signs. And all it really talks about is that you can't be so bright that it's a nuisance or hazardous. I mean, they're clearly allowed. So,
A lot of people don't like the ones that say open that have the running light that's inside the building. People complain about the UH sign on TL Express's building with the lighting in the back at night. It's so bright it blinds the people across the street. People don't want light. They want the school to have that sign, but they don't want any other businesses to have
Right.
that kind of a sign.
Well, I mean, we could look at things like limiting the amount of lumens a sign's gonna put out. You know, clearly, once you go business-wise, north of Franklin Street and south of the depot, there's nothing historic to look at. So, you know, the historic argument doesn't really hold for me.
I totally agree.
yeah.
If you don't turn on Prospect, east or west, or this little strip of Main here, you're out of historic,
Right,
period.
right,
I mean,
Circle K is not historic,
right.
Marathon
or
is not
post office
historic.
isn't historic.
Right, and I don't know if,
I mean,
I'm gonna call it Fallen Sevens building, I don't know. Italiano's building, I don't know if that's historic. It's certainly not historic in the sense that the buildings downtown are.
But it probably is historic because they did try to get Teresa to join the Landmark Commission, register her property, which, again, since we've had the Landmark Commission,
How
all
many
those 9
registered?
people were going to join, and not one person has, the only person that has tried to join has been Jody. And she was denied because so many changes have been made to the little market store.
Oh,
No,
okay,
Not the restaurant,
the
but on Main
restaurant.
Street.
okay.
that's not historic
Yeah.
anyhow, in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, we
No.
went with, I mean, even I spoke with Columbus, and so did, God, who was the chair of, Tom wasn't the chair at the time. They live over on Manaway Center Road, Linda and,
Eller.
yes. Ellers.
I think you look at, you look at the Chagrin Falls is of the world, and there are, quaint little towns that have preserved their heritage and have been very diligent about doing it for decades and decades. Well, Manaway hasn't.
Mm-mm,
So it's not as though we
no,
can change everything that already is
Mm-mm.
erected.
No.
We're not that town. Would we like to be? Maybe, but we're not.
we're not. If we were, somebody would have built a historic replica in the hole. Period.
True.
If we were that town, when the whole top section of Chagrin Falls burned because that idiot was storing fireworks above the buildings, Jan Platts, I knew the guy, they just rebuilt it. It looks exactly the same. You would never known it ever happened.
Yeah.
But
And it's nice with
We don't
40
have that.
yeah, it's nice
No, we
with
don't.
44 restoration.
oh,
that
they
are,
did a wonderful job.
making it appear to be older.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That place is gorgeous. They
Mhm.
did a great job with that old building.
And I have so many people that I talk to. I was just on a Zoom AMATS meeting, and one of the other communities, his fiance lives in Manaway, not necessarily the village, but and he says that goes to the coffee shop all the time.
Mhm.
So it's a nice
Yeah.
place.
It
No
is.
trouble,
It's a
other
great
than
place.
Circle K and the gas station, are there any
I-
other freestanding illuminated signs?
They're not all
I
freestanding,
don't
but
think
some
so.
of them are backlit.
Well, that's the comment is on freestanding.
Well, I came up with 9. The high school is considered freestanding,
The
illuminated one.
information sign or whatever.
Right.
Well, her issue was the height of freestanding
Right.
and anything that was internally lit.
Right. Like Graham has one on his wall, perfect choice.
Which is not freestanding.
That's not freestanding,
But
but
it's
it's internally
backlit.
lit.
Yeah.
Right.
Backlit,
Plenty of backlit signs.
yes. I came up with
Yeah, but
9.
Graham's building's not, I mean, it's not even close to historic.
No.
I mean, that's,
I mean, F&S is kind of historic looking, even though it's a metal building.
right.
And if the argument is it's interrupting people's sleep, no problem down there.
No,
And again, none of us were
the only
around
one that
when
is a
UH
problem
put their
is
sign
UH.
up. And that
Okay.
got put up, I was told, without a variance.
I was told that too. We had that discussion
What's
after,
that?
years
What's that?
after the
The
fact.
UH sign was put up without a variance. The mayor signed off on it on his own.
Okay, well, that's certainly not a bridge we can cross now.
No,
No,
It's already burned.
why would you?
Yeah.
It's
Okay, so-
UH, leave it alone. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. It's the same as the high school. If you're gonna do it to UH, then you have to do it to the high school.
Right.
Period.
I just don't think there's a whole lot for us to really talk about.
I don't either.
Okay,
the most we could do is be more cautious as we move forward.
Correct.
Well, sure. Sure. But, okay,
But again, somebody's gonna say, well, they did it.
in
Dean
the,
Stebbins would like to put a sign like in front of the high school, in front of his building. And I let him know, I said, you could apply, but it would be frowned upon. And he hasn't done it because it would be frowned upon. So now he has that little sign that he puts out there that he
Mhm.
puts his little messages on.
well,
Yeah.
this isn't to do, I mean, if we're gonna talk signs and sizes and, there was a lot of signs got put up around here that just got put up.
Mhm,
And recently, over the past few years.
mhm.
And if we're going by, you know, rules and regulations of the road, like John said, I mean, things that are safe, signs that you can read, signs that you can't read. There's a ton of signs up here that you can't read. I didn't even know a couple of them were even here for months until I was sitting at the traffic light.
Which one?
The directional signs.
For the trails?
Yeah.
Well, those have been there
Those have
for
been
years.
there
Oh, you're
since.
not-
I know. You don't know they're there. Nobody that comes in this town with a kayak or a canoe on
No,
their
no,
car
and I
would sit at that traffic light and look up above the post office and see something that says river.
Prospect and Maine.
Oh, there's
that
one
you
right,
can't
the
read
one
any of
right up there. You can't see any of those. You
Right.
come through town at
And
25 miles an hour.
I ordered what I was told to order,
I know you did.
but by the time they got up in the air, you can't see them.
Right.
You can't see any of that. So why do we, I mean, let's just restructure all the signs in the village. Is that what we need to do?
Well, again, if there's a legitimate complaint about too much light in an area that is partially residential, and I kind of get that. Okay, we can reduce lumens. I mean, we, like when Middlefield remodeled, we were pretty specific with a lot of things that we told them
Yeah.
that were vague perhaps in the zoning code, but here's what we
Yeah.
want you to do, and
They
they
did.
complied.
Sure they did.
There's nowhere in the zoning code that says right turn only out of those driveways.
Right.
But they, yeah, I think.
They
that-
were receptive to
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
they were.
So maybe that's, I don't know who we talked to find out what's an acceptable lumen, but I mean, it's way over my head.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Lighting engineer. You have architects and lighting engineers on basic plans that often when you have site plan reviews, they actually will approve lumens and how far they project and so forth.
Okay.
Totally encapsulated, so they face down on the sign instead of across the street.
Because that one's just on the back, right? Isn't that sign just inside the sign, the UH sign?
It's on the back side of it.
Yeah.
Probably. It's, what is it, the light spills out.
Yeah.
There's a-
The light loss and-
spillage and so
yeah.
you're supposed to
Yeah, because
contain
it's
it.
like out from the wall
Be
like
pedestrian
this.
oriented just to the sign and not out of the light, the lots that they're actually in.
Right.
There's
Okay.
specific laws and lumens and all of that.
Okay.
Any lighting engineer, they probably have someone in the office at CT that does that.
They probably do. For parking lots, they probably do, because
Absolutely.
parking lots would be
Absolutely.
no different. I mean, they have to have so many lumens per
Absolutely.
parking spot, probably.
Specified and how far it goes and pedestrian oriented.
Do we
Yeah.
need to quit for a second?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually
So is
still,
this something we want to
Still working.
review?
We can look at it,
I
yeah.
Well, like you said, we can be cautious going forward.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at 24 square feet with a maximum height of 12 feet. That maximum height does not necessarily encompass the square footage, does it? That we're talking overall height of the sign, but the sign itself can be an additional 24 square feet, 6 by 4, no higher than 12 feet high, right? Is that the way that,
6 by 4, I think it's measured for the foundation.
but that's the height. But the sign itself could still be 6 by 4 and 12 foot high at the top to the top of the sign. Okay.
So it would have to be on a 8-foot post
Yeah,
to
yeah.
meet those regular, I
Yeah.
mean, to meet that.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can,
We can review signs again. I mean, we've reviewed it numerous times,
yeah.
you know,
How
we've
much light
added
it puts
and
out is
taken
the only
out.
thing I can think of would be the smartest way to go.
Mhm. Yeah, that's,
Because I knew the new parking lot lights up at the high school light us up really well. Gives me clear, I say clear shot,
yeah, that's probably like
but,
choice
yeah,
of words.
and I don't. Sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty bright.
Does it
And-
does it interfere with your everyday routine? Does it interfere
during
with
the
your
day.
house?
Not during, at night,
No, I
they
mean,
used
right,
to,
does
they
it?
used
Oh,
to
yeah,
shut
they
that
light
one
the
off
house up.
in the school or make it
I've
stationary.
gotten used to them.
The front one, and now they haven't been doing that. And it doesn't bother him, but where my TV is, a lot of times the reflections of the reds and the blues come up on my wall. You get used to it.
Right.
It's a school.
I even noticed.
As long as
While we're
the
talking about
band
that
isn't
one.
up there doing that ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
metronome nonsense. But
That's more annoying than the
Yeah.
sign.
and again, with a sign like that, I think the school actually was on a time shutting it off at 11 o'clock at
Right.
night. Do they still do that?
No,
No.
it's been on all night.
It's been on,
Okay.
yeah, it's
So
on
maybe
in
we
the
should-
morning when
I
I go
could
out.
probably give Dave a call and ask him if he can put it back on a timer.
Yeah, nobody's going through me away after 11 o'clock to read, so.
Yeah, it used to be off when I went into work.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we
but
went
for the,
off like
like
at
the
11
past
and
year,
came
Since they
back
put
on
the
at
new
6.
sign up,
it's been on.
probably.
Yeah, now it's been on all the time.
Okay, so that's something to look at. Okay. We beat that one dead.
Yes, we did.
Old business. Do we want to even discuss the fee for the rental inspections?
The last time that I talked with Kim Yule, she had sent us that letter, and I know it came out in one of your packets. She was gonna rework it because she had questions on what constitutes a unit.
Right, because this fee was like 175 a unit or something like that, if I remember correctly. He was saying that like a 2-unit rental, he would count as one, even though there's two separate
Right,
residences,
and when it
it's
came
one
to,
physical structure.
Right.
if it came to Sontag Lane, there was some way,
Yeah.
so I do have something in my office.
So the one thing we want to decide is at what point is a triplex a unit or is that 3
Right,
units?
Right, you would have a
At some
limit,
point, we
right.
need to make that
Well,
limit, yeah.
yeah,
So
well,
maybe
he
we
would,
get that
he would
today.
have to make that
3,
limit.
for example.
Yeah.
3 or fewer would count as one unit.
Yeah.
For pricing.
I'll make sure I get you guys. all
Probably gotta be a
copies
square footage
before
to
next
that, you
meeting.
know, like,
Okay. I think it went in a
I mean, for
council
him, there would
packet
have to
is what it
be,
went in.
Did she
you know,
resubmit
like a
with the new-
square footage
No, she
cutoff. If
didn't,
it's a
because she had-
triplex,
She
then it's
wanted to
only,
meet with questions
you
and then
know,
the color.
10,000 square
Okay,
feet, that's
right.
one thing, but if it's, you know, unqualified.
Okay.
And that was, of course, from the council's request, so.
And when I talked to her, I said, well, we're not in any hurry because you can't get in any of those houses right now.
Yeah, but it would still be nice to
Yeah.
button this one up, you know,
Yeah.
while we can.
I'll see if she wants to come, her husband come to the next meeting, next planning meeting.
I mean, it doesn't mean we need to, you know, it's not like we're gonna start anything, but at
No.
least if we could keep the ball rolling, so
Right.
we had momentum, you know,
Okay.
and then everything crashed.
She's gonna be at the council meeting via Zoom
Okay,
about the potato festival.
Okay.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay. We want to do anything with 4012 in the maintenance code tonight, or
I'm not told everybody's here.
do we want to wait for Wes? Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait.
We'll table that one. Orchard Street widening bid is to be opened on June the 11th at noon, which happens to be Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
So far, have you gotten anything via email?
Nothing yet. Nothing at all.
Because everything's supposed to come to you. Mary Ann said nothing has been faxed or anything.
I check the email every day. Nothing.
And what did Rich say about the bid opening
Oh,
itself?
I talked to them because it's a quote. Anything we get, we're gonna scan and send to
It's,
CT and
okay,
they're gonna review it all.
okay, that's right. It's not a formal bid because it's under 50. I forgot. Because everybody keeps saying bid. I'm like,
I know,
panic,
I'm
panic.
sorry that I keep saying that.
Okay,
They're just
Okay.
close, we'll get them, and it's traditionally, they won't turn it in
Yeah.
until
the last
12
one.
o'clock on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to digress a little bit, but it's still going to be part of that opening, the bid opening. Is there any provisions in there for valve replacements? The valve that they couldn't get closed is going to be right in the middle of this thing.
That is just a cleaning of that valve yet. They're just gonna get down there, no, there's not, that would take it up to over $50,000, you put $10,000 or $12,000 in that. Yeah, there's nothing for a valve replacement.
Okay.
The county's gonna come and
Well,
clean it out.
oh, yeah, I was going to say, that's something we want to get on because when we find out that valve won't work anyhow,
Yeah, that's,
we want to
County
make
has-
sure.
they have an extension that, so we don't have to weld one together, they have an extension that we can use, and they're also, as a told us at both plants, they're helping us at the one lift station and at the sewer plant. When they finish that, then it's gonna come up here with the back of the truck
Just back it out.
and back it out and then try to get it off the longer valve. That was mainly our problem. Our valve key wasn't quite long enough to, because it's sitting at an angle now.
Okay.
Because he has operated that. He said before. So,
Who's he?
I think Dave said he had.
Oh, okay,
Exactly, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I've worked with the county water also. I talked to Line Decker and Gino.
Okay.
Moving on. Mass Road Bridge.
I have nothing on that. You got any?
Nothing.
I've never, well, everything was kind of put on hold because of the COVID. No funds were being released, decisions were being made.
COVID's killing everything.
And there's a chance that that money's gonna go away. We can't tap into the rainy day fund because it's not raining hard enough apparently, so. We'll just leave that multi-billion-dollar account sit there. Okay, zoning maintenance issues, Mr. Angle.
He has actually been cutting the grass and fixed some screens and so forth. I'll keep an eye on him, see if he's done anything else, but I was actually surprised. I went by twice last week,
There's still blue tarp on the road.
cutting a road path. So we may have to push you to specific issues before we take it to court then.
Look at the west side of the house. The vines are coming in the window.
Yeah.
What's towel hanger?
It might be
Yeah,
holding,
but he has
might
to-
be holding the
Hold the house
fireplace
together,
together,
yeah.
holding the
I
chimney
think there's a
together.
reason why he's not mowing the grass where on the sidewalk, is there a sidewalk there?
He replaced part of the sidewalk there too.
Right.
Yeah, he
But
poured
it
something there.
just seemed like the grass was really high, like he wasn't mowing there, a section.
Yeah,
I'll go
there
back.
is a section he's not mowing.
Kind of like Mr. Lucas down on Prospect.
Yes.
He mows the grass and then doesn't mow along the edge of the road. And then it's like,
Right away.
six-
Let's take care of it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Holly Poots.
The garage, that we checked, looked pretty good. Looks like they did repairs to that.
Okay.
okay. And I guess West Franklin Street for West Hawkins, that property sold.
Sold and the downspout was fixed and the fence. So, but they had a peculiar, and I was told Wes was here tonight, but I'm gonna look at it again. Looks like the front door, they made a window out of it.
Yes, they blocked
Instead
that
of-
off.
You can't block exits without permission from the county, so I'll check on that. Any ingress egress, that's a change of
Who,
structure.
you
Yeah.
think West did that or you
No,
think?
no.
I
The
think
new,
the new owner.
The new,
owner.
and the new
That's, I
owner,
didn't know transferred already. I'd
Okay.
forgotten.
yeah.
Plus a satellite dish in the front yard.
It looks like a window.
It does
Yes,
have
it
a
is.
satellite dish in the front.
Wasn't that yesterday? It has, it looks like a window instead of a front door, so I'll revisit that and see what they did there. It looks like they have a chair in the back of it and they put a window.
I'll have to go by. I didn't even pay attention
Yeah,
to
I
that.
walked
Yeah.
by it.
First, I thought they broke a window or something like that. Then I looked at it again. I said, looks like they took the door out.
Yeah, it looked like a piece of
Huh.
plywood they painted white. And the people that bought it was the daughter of the next house over.
Teeter,
Teeter's daughter bought it.
that's a mess. But that whole corner is a mess.
That's the court,
with those
Franklin and
two.
L. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
So even Randall Lucas down on East Prospect, I mean, he's mowing, but he's still not trimming.
Lucas Randall, it says here.
Yeah.
Lucas Randall.
Also-
Lucas.
Lucas,
Part of the,
The soffit's coming down,
Soffit's
yeah,
on
the
there.
fascias, yeah.
yeah, they fixed the downspout, but they didn't fix the fascia. It's still hanging down. They had a ladder, obviously, just they hit some nails or maybe it's so rotten.
And
without placing
that's
wood
been like that for
for
Right.
years.
And
couple
then
years
there's like a
anyhow.
swing set or a jungle gym kind of in the yard, and the grass is as tall as the
Over
swing
by-
set.
Timmy Lewis's side.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's what he told me. That's not his. That's the other ones. And he was, I talked to Lewis, he was supposed to pick it up, but so I'll have to decide Lewis now too. It's never any battle.
Yeah.
Corner.
And
Cool.
the final one, Jenny August, Canada Road.
I have the file and I'll reread it and make sure. It looks like she's gonna have to get a variance.
Okay.
on that. I'll read it and I'll notify you. Go commission and tell Jenny. I have spoken to her once about She has to do the variance.
About
Her getting a variance.
oh, okay.
What we decided was John read through the paperwork downstairs, got stuff. I got stuff from the auditor's office. We gave it to John. John is going to review it and make the decision.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Fair and balanced.
Well, that's, I mean, that is,
That's
let's
John.
put it, it's in, that way it's impartial.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
all right.
we don't need that headache, so.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, how about Miss Stutzman?
Oh,
She back home?
oh, she just sent a thing to, we just got,
She just sent a thing today, actually, both those court cases. Have you heard anything from Boring, or they agreed to pay too, right? Yes. Sutsman.
Yes, the one that's, the meter case is a state case, so I just said, if you have any trouble with the state prosecutors, have them call us. And we're not doing anything with the zoning violation yet until we decide whether the lot combination is acceptable or not, so.
He's
Is
supposed
that the
to,
car,
a lot
the
combination.
she just
carport?
sent a, she just sent a brief,
Just sent
email.
an email today saying that a lot combination will be submitted to planning commission.
But is that gonna
Next month.
fix everything regarding that structure?
I haven't seen it yet. I don't know.
No, I mean, if she combines all the lots back there into one, we knew that was a problem because it straddled two. It's still not attached to if she does that, it doesn't have to be attached to a primary building?
It has to be on a lot with a primary building.
Okay,
So if
okay.
it's one lot, then hypothetically, it's not inconsistent with the code.
Well, let me ask this. Where, if I'm understanding right, and you guys can tell me I'm wrong, Jeff Benner's complaint was, is it was in front of his access door to the back of his building.
But that's not a zoning issue. That's a private issue of
Right, I know, I
access.
understand that, but shouldn't the carport be over so it's on her, behind her own building, not his building?
But I think her lots are behind multiple lots.
correct.
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know, but if it's on her lot and it's an accessory structure on a lot with a primary structure, then as long as it meets the setbacks, it meets zoning. I don't think there's any setbacks in Village Center.
No, there's not.
So
You have joint walls.
the issue of her blocking somebody else's access is a private
Right,
issue.
I understand that,
Okay.
but I guess I was thinking, being an accessory building, it would have to be behind her storefronts on that side, not his storefront.
It has to be on her property, right? Whatever, I mean, she's got
Well,
a
I
T-shaped
understand it's
lot.
her- Well, I guess if she does a lot combination and it combines, because there are 3 lots.
Right.
Behind.
That's, I think that's their
So-
theory of the case
So
right
if she
there.
did, so if she has a lot that her buildings are on,
Mhm.
and then she has 3 lots in the back, and I don't know, I have to look.
Right.
If she just combines those 3 lots in the back and still doesn't combine them with the actual building, then it's an illegal building, right? Or
And I
not?
think that, as I understand his plan, it was to combine the 3 lots in the back with the lot with the principal structure.
Gotcha,
To
okay.
make it work.
Okay,
That's their plan, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
And
It's
that
still-
makes the whole thing go away?
It's still an ugly building.
Well, maybe they can put a mural on it and hang a big curtain on it.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever, they can paint over it and just be another mural. She can pull the curtain open when she needs to get her RV out.
Okay, so that's actually considered a garage? Is that what?
It's an accessory.
It's an
It's an
accessory
accessory
structure.
The entrance to this village from the south is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
It is absolutely hideous,
Yeah.
and nobody complains. You'll complain about a street sign, complain about a backlit sign. Nobody complains about the south entrance to this village. It looks like crap.
Well, we had complaints when they thought the dollar store was going in next to Jansen Brothers. Why would you put a metal building with that big awful ugly yellow light? And I said, well, you stood behind Matt from Napa when he put that ugly metal building up. I said, sure, he beefed it up a little bit and made it look a little more you know, with the overhang on the front, but still. He said, well, we don't need a metal building in a historic district. And I said, what? Because they want it to be concrete and brick so that
Is there a defined historic, there's no historic district in Mantua Village, right?
Prospect Street is,
It's part of the National Register of Historic Places, but for local guidelines, we don't have any local historic district that's
Right.
defined with a boundary.
So we're back
Right.
into that building, people that own those buildings aren't buying into it, so,
right. So why do we even
We're
have the
not gonna worry.
landmark commission?
okay. To worry about street signs. Okay, any other discussions for the evening?
No.
Apparently Dave's done, he's packing his
I
suitcase.
give up my toys.
All right, let me make sure there's no public input here.
Oh,
Last chance.
cemetery. I know that you heard about it last Tuesday from Matt, said he had a complaint about the cemetery
Yeah.
and the state of the cemetery.
And the
Did
next,
you hear about it?
the next day I went up
So
and it
did
was
I.
mowed. The next day I went up and it was mowed and it looked fine.
Okay, because I
He says
had a
he's
couple
trying
of
to get on
complaints
his,
about the cemetery.
he's been trying to
When?
get on a cycle. The grass, too
The
tall.
grass, yeah, the grass and the weed whipping and not trimming around headstones and I've heard, I'm
He
just
doesn't, he
saying,
only has to do the, around the headstones on Memorial Day. And
Okay.
once a month in July and August, and that's it.
okay,
It's-
Personally, I think that's a thing the cemetery board needs to take a good hard look at.
So do I.
There are a lot of, what's the term I want to use? Uncared for
mhm,
that,
It's not, who's responsible?
well.
I guess if they're on one of the trusts.
If
then it would
anything's
be
on the
village
back side of
responsible.
the tombstone, it should be removed. Because as I'm understanding it, it's the front of the tombstone to the next one is all they own. If there's something around, all the way around. So,
They're encroaching on, yeah,
yeah,
that's a project that Mary Ann and I are gonna work on. Or I was gonna work on it with Mary Ann. I might just have Mary Ann do it because I'm part-time.
yeah, but, I went through there today and I thought, I didn't think it looked too bad.
okay.
It'd be nice if,
All right, I heard
I know
this.
there's some money out there somewhere,
was
like
last-
to straighten
it
up
was one day last
headstones
week.
and stuff.
It was after Matt brought it up. Somebody else brought it up to me, which I was
Okay.
shocked. I was like,
That was a Tuesday. On Thursday it was mowed.
okay.
When I was,
Well, this was after Thursday, so maybe they saw it before that. They were just,
what,
that was the first time I'd seen this person in a couple of weeks.
right, what he said was, is the grass is growing so quickly everywhere.
Yeah.
He usually does every 7 days. He's trying to get himself on the cycle of doing 5 days. And when he goes to the cemetery, he takes 4 extra people with him to get the cemetery done. Because I spoke to him on Monday and said, just want to let you know, before you get a formal complaint from John Rye, people don't think that the cemetery is as tidy as they would like it. So I understand you don't have to weed whip around the headstones every week. Because they don't, once a month.
Well, maybe that's the problem. I mean, maybe
And
that's
then
what
people-
everybody's
then people-
seeing, you know.
And they
so that's
even,
what
they even
complain
go and they blow them off as best they can, but
about.
that's not part of
Okay,
his job. That's the plot owners. I thought you were gonna say about the narrative that I sent you, that I had your head spinning at service.
oh, no,
Okay.
that's,
Did that make sense?
That's
after
still in
you
the
read it?
finance.
Why
Have
don't
you had
we
a chance
adjourn
to
this
read that?
meeting?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I haven't
why don't we
checked
it. Did it
adjourn-
make
why
sense
don't we
after you
adjourn
read
this
it?
meeting?
Oh.
Because we're way
Tell him
off
not to
track
do it
here.
yet.
Excuse me?
I'm just waiting for this mail to load because I have to check if anybody emailed us.
Oh, okay.
So you can keep talking about, you're still in an open meeting, you talk about whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
no, that was
Okay,
it.
now we're-
I just wanted, I just
I just
remember
wanted to
we
make-
had a complaint
I
of
should have,
service. I just
right,
wanted to
and
bring
I
it up.
should have made a narrative for service and I didn't, but I thought that I put it together fairly well, breaking it
Oh,
down
no, you
to
did.
the Thompson, the Coits, the
Yep.
old lady cemetery.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hilltop Lady Cemetery thing.
Did You get that for finance?
I sent it to everybody, but to discuss, can I get on your agenda for tomorrow? Because I didn't get a copy of your agenda or minutes.
I didn't get anything either to put on the website, so. Okay, now you can adjourn. There's no mail.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Y'all got it, Mary Ann?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
Scott.
night.
Scott, Dave, all eyes.
Okay, we're ending the